RFG is back. I'm back and I'm here to break down this Halo thing, this Halo video game franchise for all the listeners. Okay, very, very deep symbology with this video game. And what I will say is Bungie, the company, the video game company known as Bungie, they knew exactly what they were doing when they came up with the plot and all the scenarios for this Halo video game series. Because they basically told the history of humanity in this video game. Okay, I made a few videos in the past. I think, I made a DVD, and then I made another video back in 2015 about all the symbology in Halo. But I really need to make sure that everyone grasps this concept, because this right here, is literally the truth of history of humanity. And they also tried to mix Christian theology with ancient spirituality. That's what they tried to mix, with this with the whole covenant religion system. But I'm gonna break it down step by step, so pay attention and listen very carefully, folks. Okay, so right here you see this individual named Master Chief. He's looking at the sun. He's looking at a star, and he's looking at a ring. He's looking at a halo ring. Okay, that's that's in very close proximity to this star. And Master Chief is watching the Covenant ships. Okay, the Covenant spaceships go past the ring. And when you look at this, okay, the whole Halo, theology here, right here, you see the Covenant. The Covenant is a group of extraterrestrial beings that have come together to serve one purpose in the galaxy, and that purpose is to activate the Halo rings so they can go on their great journey. Their great journey is spiritual ascension. Okay, over to the next dimension. That's where you get the theology of the Covenant and Halo, talking about the great journey, activating the Halo rings to go on their great journey. But what people don't realize is the Covenant never took up this theology until they were under the rule of the prophets. Okay, when the prophets took over the Covenant, that's when the Covenant started to pay homage to the Halo rings. Okay, why are they called the Covenant? Well, there's something called the Ark of the Covenant that was found in Kemet in ancient Egypt, and this Ark of the Covenant was taken underground under the Vatican years and years ago. This was back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when the Vatican confiscated the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant, they even made an Indiana Jones movie about it. Okay, the Ark of the Covenant is a deal that was made between the gods from Sirius and the humans over the earth. The indigenous humans over the earth and the gods from Sirius, they made a covenant, they made a deal. They made a deal with humanity. Okay, and humanity has broken that deal, but the contract, okay, is kept in this chest, in this golden chest, and the Vatican has this object under the Vatican Church. Okay, that's where it's located. Okay, Ark of the Covenant, that is the deal that was made between humanity and the gods from Sirius. Why is that significant? Because the ruling class over the Covenant, okay, the ruling class over the Covenant, they're known as elites. They're known as these elites, these Sangheili elites, okay? So they believe that activating these Halo rings is going to send them on the great journey. The same way people get down and pray to this Jesus figure. They pray to the Jesus figure, right? What does the Jesus figure have over his head? He has the halo. He has the halo ring, the halo ring. You see? That's what the covenant, that's what their religion system is based off of, the halo rings, sending them on the great journey. The same way the Christians believe that the guy with the halo ring around his head is going to send them on a great journey, is going to send them to heavenly ascension. The same goddamn theology. Okay, so in this video game, you have the elites going to war with humanity. Okay, so-called humanity. And it's all over the activation of these halo rings. Okay, and when you look at, you know, what these what some of these elites look like, right here you have these these royal guards. Okay, these royal guard elites, and the elites that are royal guards, when you look at their headdresses, they have the same headdresses as the goddamn samurai warriors. You see? Many of these elites, when you look at their headdresses, they resemble the samurai warriors. When you look at the royal guards, the Sanghili, who are royal guards, they bear the same resemblance as these samurai warriors. Okay? And then when you look at the elite zealots, look at the elite zealots. Okay? These are like generals over the Sanghili. And when you look at their headdresses look exactly the same as how African warriors would cut and carve their hair, would cut and carve their afros. Okay? And you know, this depiction right here, you know, right here, a Tutsi, this right here is a Tutsi warrior. Okay? Right here you have the goddamn zealots and the Halo video game franchise with the same headdress that looks exactly the same as this Tutsi warrior. Okay? Right in front of our faces. Right in front of our faces, folks. And the elites also come from a home planet that known as Sanghelios. Sanghelios. And when you do the research, the planet Sanghelios, it is part of a trinary star system. Sanghelios is part of a trinary star system, folks. Now, why is that significant? Because when we look at the Sirius star constellation, the Sirius star constellation is part of a trinary star system. Right here we have Potolo. Potolo is Sirius B. Right here we have Sigitolo. Sigitolo is Sirius A. Right here we have Imiyatolo. Imiyatolo is Sirius C. And then we have the planet that orbits Sirius C. That planet is known as Nyan-Tolo. So Nyan-Tolo is basically what's being depicted when you look at Sanghelios in the Halo video game franchise. Okay? The home of the elites, known as Sanghelios, is really a depiction of Nyan-Tolo, the planet that orbits around Sirius C. And this is where the Anunnaki come from. This is where the Elohim come from. This is where the creators of humans on the earth, this is where they originate. The planet that orbits around Sirius C, and they call it Nyan-Tolo. And right here, you have Bungie. You have this video game company called Bungie coming out, you see, with this planet called Sanghelios that is part of a trinary star system. Okay? The same way, you know, the gods from Sirius, they were part of a trinary star system. So this is telling us that the elites are the Anunnaki, are the gods from Sirius. Okay? The elites, you see? And our ancestors cut and carved their hair to pay homage to the gods from the Sirius star system. This is why, you know, in the Halo video game, you see the headdresses of the elites. It's the same. It's exactly the same as, you know, the indigenous ancestors. And right here, the royal guards for the Sangheli. Look, that's samurai attire. That's nothing but samurai attire, folks, right in front of our faces. Right in front of our faces, and nobody can say nothing about it at all. You know what I'm saying? Right here, they have a plasma sword, okay? And you know, the samurai, they have They have a katana. They have a sword that is made out of metal. It's known as a katana. Okay? A carbon. You know, it's made out of carbon, solid carbon. Right here, we have a plasma sword, but these deities basically serve the same purpose. Okay? So we can obviously tell that the people who made this video game, they were trying to reach out to indigenous cultures. They were trying to send a message to indigenous cultures around the world. Period. Period. End of story. Okay? So when we look at one of these characters that was part of the group known as the Sangheili, by the way, the etymology of the word Sangheili, Sang means blood, Healy means Helios, which is the sun. So when you say Sanghelios, you're talking about the beings with sun blood, beings whose blood is given energy by the sun. Beings whose DNA is activated by the sun, by sunlight, Sangheli, Sanghelios. Okay? The sunbloods, the individuals whose blood gets energized by the sun. Individuals with alkaline blood that gets energized by the sun. Okay? Okay? It's not a game, folks. It's not a game. You see, the people who are considered carbonated or melanated, carbonated beings, we get activated by the sun. We get a charge by the sunlight. Other people who have calcified pineal glands and who have acidic blood, if you have acidic blood, those are going to be the people you see sitting in the shade all day with their damn umbrella, trying to block the sunlight away from hitting them, because they have acidic blood and they have calcified pineal glands. So for the individuals with decalcified pineal glands, with active pineal glands, and with alkaline blood, we get the sun is our God. The sun is our demigod. Okay? The sun is our demigod. Okay? And this was all depicted in the Halo video game series. So right here, you have a Sangheili known as the Arbiter. Now, the Arbiter was an individual who failed a mission when he was supposed to activate one of the Halo rings, and he was supposed to kill a battalion of humans and activate the Halo ring, but he failed, and he was taken into custody by the prophets and the rest of the covenant, and they labeled this individual a failure who had to take up the role of the Arbiter. Now, the Arbiter later discovered, that the Halo rings were only going to destroy the galaxy, and they weren't going to cause any ascension, any spiritual ascension. Now, the individuals who told the Arbiter this, this took place in Halo 2. In Halo 2, they told the Arbiter that, the Halo rings were only going to destroy the galaxy, and the prophets were frauds. The prophets were frauds, and false prophets, And when the Arbiter learned this information, he spread this information, and he turned against the prophets. The Arbiter turned against the prophets. And what did they label the Arbiter? They labeled the Arbiter the heretic, because the first Sangheili elite that told Arbiter that the Great Journey was a lie, they were called the heretics. So the Arbiter was sent on a mission to kill the heretics, but the heretics told him the information that woke his ass up, and the Arbiter became a goddamn heretic. And where do we see this in history? Where do we see this story in history? Oh, we have Arius. We have Arius right here, folks. We have Arius, who was a so-called black man from Libya, who spent most of his life in Kemet, being ruled or being taught under a Kemetic way of life. And he saw how Kemet was taken over by Greek rulership, and he saw how the Greeks were forced to worship the Serapis image, okay? And the Serapis image is the Jesus image, okay? The Serapis image is the Jesus image with the halo around his head. So in real life, Arius was telling people that were under the Vatican rule, he was telling people that, you know, this whole story, you know, with Jesus, this guy with the halo around his head, it's all a lie, folks. You know what I'm saying? Jesus is not the Son of God. Jesus is not the Lord of Lords. Jesus is not the answer to spiritual ascension for humanity. Jesus is not the way, okay? Jesus is not the true God of gods. This is what Arius was saying to the followers of the Catholic Church. And what did the Pope, okay? What did the Pope Sylvester say about Arius's rebellion? He called it heresy. He called it heresy. The Pope Sylvester called it heresy and labeled Arius a heretic, the same way the prophets in the Halo video game, the same way the prophets, okay, the same way the prophets in the Halo video game labeled Arius a heretic, okay? They labeled Arius a heretic, okay? This happened in real life, and this is the story when you look at the arbiter's relationship to the prophets in Halo, okay? So arbiter is playing out the role of Arius, the motherfucker being labeled as the heretic, going against Christianity, bashing that Christianity, bashing that false ass, fake ass Messiah. You see, and the three prophets in Halo, they can be depicted as Pope Sylvester. Okay. Now, in this video game Halo, when the war broke out between humanity and the elites and the Covenant set up structures. The Covenant set up battlefield structures known as ziggurats. They were known as ziggurats. And isn't that significant? Because if we research what a ziggurat is, a ziggurat structure can be found all throughout the Middle East. And these ziggurat structures are nothing but ancient pyramid structures that our ancient Sumerian ancestors constructed all over the Middle East. You even have pyramids and ziggurats in Syria. Why is it labeled Syria? Because the original Syrians, okay, that came from Sirius, and they were sirens, which were, you see, the DNA lineage of the mermaids, you see, that comes from Sirius. So when you look at the ziggurats in Halo, they are a depiction of the real life ziggurats that are constructed all over the Middle East. Okay? Okay, put right in front of our faces. Right in front of our faces. And then another part of the Halo, video game series, you had these characters that were latecomers. Now let me make this very clear. Let me make this very clear. The brutes never appeared in Halo until Halo 3. That was their first appearance in Halo. So they were latecomers. Okay? Because these brutes that became part of the Covenant, they are a depiction, okay, of the so-called white race, of the so-called Caucasian race. These brutes, okay, the deities with half God, and half ape DNA. Half Anunnaki, half ape DNA. Okay, so you have the brute. They're called the gyrohane. Okay, and they're called the brute. Okay, right here in front of our faces. Now, you have half ape, half monkey DNA, half God DNA, half Anunnaki DNA. Now, when you look at what monkey, how you say monkey in Latin, you say simia. But see, this is deep, folks. This is super deep. And this is all I'm going to say. when you see monkey, you're really saying moon-key, moon-key, moon-key. The deity with the keys to the moon energy, the deity with the keys to the moon energy, Simia, okay? The simulation, the moon is in control of this simulation, this artificial holographic simulation. It's the moon that's in control of that. So in Latin, you call the monkey the Simia because they can tap into that moon energy better than any other animal on the earth. The dog, the canine, and the monkey can tap into the moon frequency better than any other animal on the earth. And this was depicted in the Dragon Ball Z cartoon. Okay, you had the Saiyans, and what were the Saiyans? I already decoded that. The Saiyans were the original Caucasians that were grafted with ape and God DNA. Okay, so what were the brutes in Halo? They were genetically grafted, genetically spliced between ape and God DNA, ape and Anunnaki DNA. Okay, and when you look at monkey, monkey, it's really moonkey. Simia, that's how you say it in Latin. The simulation, the moon. The moon is in control of the artificial, the holographic simulation. Now, listen, folks. In Dragon Ball Z, when the Saiyans, when they got hit by the moonlight, they turned into a complete brute ape. They turned into a complete brute ape, which shows that the moon activated their animal, beast-like nature. Okay? This is why when we look at etymology, okay, we see Simia is monkey because monkey is really moonkey, and the moon is in control of this holographic simulation that we live in. Okay? And there was a goddamn war that broke out between the elites, between the Anunnaki and these brute creatures, these Gyrohani brute ape humanoid creatures. The ape humanoid creatures had a war with the gods from Sirius right here. You see, the elites, the Sangheli, the Sunblood. You see, so you had the Sunblood, you had the deities who got their blood activated by the sun, and then you had the deities, you see, who were beast-like, who got their DNA activated by the moon. You see, by the moon. You see, and what did I tell people? What have I been saying? You're either a child of the moon or you're a child of the sun. That's what I've been saying for the longest. You are either a child of the sun or you're a child of the moon. No in between. Your pineal gland is either activated. If your pineal gland is activated, that means you have neuromelanin in your blood. And that means that you have alkaline blood. And that means that the sun is your fueler. The sun is your fuel source and is your demigod. Okay? If you have a calcified pineal gland and you have acidic blood, the moon is your god. You see? The moon is your god. You see? So the people who were spliced with that ape DNA, which would be, the original Caucasians on the earth, you see, they're depicted as the brutes in Halo. You see, the deities who have that ape, who are battling between that ape and that god DNA. You see, this is why monkey, when you say monkey, you're really saying moonkey, because in Latin, it's simia. The moon is in control of the simulation, of the artificial simulation. You see? So not only when the canines get in front of the moon, you see the canines, they howl to the moon, and the canines pay homage to the moon. And you see werewolves DNA is activated to go back to beast state when they go out into the moonlight. Okay? And that can be, depicted with the canines and with the apes. The canines and the apes. They are on the same frequency. They're on the same frequency, folks. They're not as much as the dog, okay? Not as much as the dog. The dog is completely at beast state. But a step above that, a step above the dog, would be the ape. But they are both on deep animal consciousness, and they are under the influence of the moon. Okay, they are deeply tied to the history and the influence of the moon's control over animals on this earth and people who are under animal state. People who are under animal state, okay, they are under the moon's control. Okay, monkey is really moonkey. Okay, the canine, Canis lupus. Lupus is the moon. Luna is the moon. Lupus is the disease that came from the moon goddess. You see, the moon goddess placed a curse, okay, on a certain group of people, and they lost their neuromelanin. Okay, those are the Zionists. Those are the Khazarians. Those are the Khazarians, folks. The Khazarians were cursed by ISIS and stripped of their neuromelanin. The other group of Caucasians, their DNA was spliced with ape and dog DNA. Okay, so that's where you get your everyday, you know what I'm saying, Caucasian that you would see, you know what I'm saying, out and about. You know what I'm saying, in everyday life. You see? So, you know, the history of the Caucasian has deep roots with the moon. Deep roots with that moon. And this is why the zodiac sign that's ruled by the moon, it's called Cancer. Let me repeat. The zodiac sign that is ruled by the moon is called Cancer, because the first form of Cancer got to this earth when the sons of Cain were cursed by the moon goddess, okay? The moon goddess cursed them and stripped them of their neuromelanin. And these beings, these Khazarians, started splicing, you know what I'm saying, their DNA with ape DNA. And that's how we have the everyday Caucasian that we see today. I do not believe that Yaqub was the individual who spliced, you know what I'm saying, millions of Caucasians into existence. I don't believe that. I believe it was the sons of Cain, the original Khazarians, that had their neuromelanin stripped by the moon goddess. Okay, these beings wanted to repopulate themselves. They wanted to, you know, repopulate themselves across the planet, and they wanted beings that they could rule over. Okay, so they created what we would know as normal Caucasians. So the Khazarians mixed their DNA with either ape DNA or dog DNA. So either way you look at it, the Khazarians were cursed by the moon goddess. Okay, then when the Khazarians mixed their DNA with the ape DNA and the dog DNA, you know, the ape and the dog has a deep connection to the moon. So, you know, the original Caucasoids had that deep connection to the moon. Okay? Very deep here. And like I said, this was depicted, okay? This was all depicted in a video game, folks. Okay, this was depicted in this Halo video game when the Sangheili, the Sunbloods, went up in battle and went to war, okay, with the beasts, with the, you know, the deities with the beast-like DNA. You see, with the brutes. It was the elites versus the brutes, and this is exactly what's going on Earth today. You know what I'm saying? We have the children of the sun going to battle with the children of the moon. And, you know, they're trying to stop us on our great journey. You see, they're trying to stop us. The individuals with beast DNA are trying to stop the godlike beings on this earth from reaching the great journey. And just like the arbiter found out, okay, it's not going to be no goddamn halo ring that sends us on a great journey. The same way that Jesus is not going to be the answer, okay? The same way that Jesus is not going to be the answer to sending us on our great journey, sending us to a heaven, sending us to a fifth dimension. Jesus is not going to be responsible for that. Okay, so that's really all I had to say on this topic. Okay, Bungie knew what the hell they were doing when they made this video game. Symbology everywhere, not even hidden in plain sight. They put it right in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely unbelievable. But that's really all I had to say on this topic. I appreciate everyone who supports RFG and Atlantean movement. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's the Chosen One, man. I'm out.